here too long. Probably not gonna be on here too long. Okay, not gonna be on here too long, you guys. I just wanted to share a quick little something. So I'm gonna wait till some of you guys come in the chat. Oh, wait till some of you guys come in. Hey Yamina. Hey K-Love. How you doing, sis? All right. Probably not gonna read, but I do want to share this message I felt led to. I was gonna do it earlier, but I was like, no, a lot of people probably at work, so I'm just gonna do it now. Because it's like later in the day. So if you guys are in another country or something, I don't know, maybe I'm catching you early in the morning or something, or whenever you watch this. But I came across some very important information, some downloads. Oh, you got the notification. Surprising, YouTube, probably because they heard us talking crazy about them. Why they don't be sending out my notifications. I'm doing good. Good to hear. So yeah, I came across some very valuable information. I've been binge watching a lot of like videos of like a lot of helpful videos and stuff like that. And Nina and I of Collective Culture, she has her own channel as well. She has her own podcast. You guys should check it out, the Collective Culture podcast on Spotify. We recently did a podcast talking about singleness and our take on that and our experiences on that. And I feel like God's really placed on my heart to really help fellow singles in a way of not like this fake positivity thing or whatever, because for some people singleness is like they love it, and some people they actually like despise it. Some people feel a little bit shamed to be single. I feel like I've went through different stages with that, but I really want to touch on the topic of holding space for people while you're single and putting your heart in someone else's hands, in an unofficial situation, unofficial relationship, you know, in like a friendship or a situationship or something hypothetical, you know. And what I've noticed that's a common thing in my experience with the spiritual community personally, like what I've gone through and what I've seen with other people, versus also like when I was like in church and knowing people in church. And one thing that's very common is that women, they, or even men, but women, we have a natural desire for our mate. We're natural nurturers, we're natural helpmates and givers and nurturers. So when you come across a person that you're very interested in, and you might come across a wrong person that will exploit that desire for love or that desire for a mate or that desire for a husband or whatever it may be, I want to like talk about this. So I came across like something and it really spoke to where I was, because I'm going to just share my experience real quick if it's meant to help you. When I share my experiences, this is not me. Of course it's buffering. It's not buffering on my end. Let me know before I even start going into this. Before I even start the message, just let me know. Okay, it's working on my end. Yeah, just check y'all connections and stuff. But I only share from my experiences. I'm not a guru. I'm not a perfection. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm still walking my journey. I do still, you know, appreciate encouragement from other people, people that are more experienced than me, or people that may be walking, you know, alongside with me on different parts of my journey. but I would love to share things that I have overcame and things that I have mastered on my journey, and specifically with love. So just like you, I have a heart. Just like you, I have a desire for a mate. Just like you, you know, sometimes being, if you're single or you're in a situationship, because I'm about to get into that, you can be in a situationship with somebody that you never had sex with, that you never even had a romantic relationship with. You guys could just be friends. Y'all could just be cool, or you guys could be co-workers. I want to get into this because it's not a one size fit all, but you have to use your discernment with this, because some of these things, depending on the nature of the situation, because nobody's perfect, but you got to be able to test the spirit by the spirit. And what I mean by that is be able to discern when someone's, you know, genuinely for your best interest, or they're wasting your time. So I'm going to get into that because I feel like so many women, we, you know, we put our heart on on a shelf for a person, and waiting for that person, and they might play games on that. And this is like a trick that we all fall for. And a woman, an elder, she laid out a whole thing, like the game, you know, and I feel like so many of us fall for that game at this time, this day and age, and in the dating culture right now that we're in. It's very easy to fall into traps of kind of settling and waiting on somebody, and putting your heart on hold, putting your life on hold for another person. So I'm going to share this as a help to somebody, because I know that this is not a popular thing, and people that resonate with it may be at a place where they want to get free from the cycle. Otherwise, other people, this is going to offend them. They're not going to want to hear it. They're going to click off. They're going to feel some type of way. And I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm not here to coddle. I'm not here to keep you in that delusion. Like, I'm here to like burst the bubble, because that's what I would want for myself. And recently, in all honesty, I said to God, before I left California, my last time being able to go to the beach, on my way to the beach, I said to myself, you know what, I got to release some people out of my heart. I got to let some people go out of my heart space. Anybody that I've ever loved or desired or put in a place of, this could be my person, this could be my husband, or this could be my twin flame black, when I was on that stuff. But honestly, it was only really one person that I would use that title to, because during that cycle, and I'm going to talk about my whole twin flame experience probably with Nina in a podcast, so I don't want to get too much into that. But, you know, I had this thing where the desire for a husband awakened at some point, maybe like a few years ago. I always wanted to have that, and I always looked at it as something that would potentially come, and it wasn't something that was such a strong burning desire for me. And that desire didn't awaken until, like I said, a few years ago. And I had a friend that I would get readings with, and we would exchange reads and stuff, and she was like, I'm picking up your husband. And that was just like not anything that I ever was looking into, wanting to know about, but it popped up. So I'm like, dang, like, okay. So then that whole thing started happening. So when I came across the guy that I dated for 2 months exclusively, he fit the description. So ever since then, it was always, okay, is it him? Is it him? And this was like maybe back in 2018. Was it probably 16? Oh, dang. I was 5 years in my singleness, where I wasn't dating anybody exclusively, where I wasn't talking to anybody really. So it was just me and like me doing the readings and helping people. So, because I was still stuck on that twin flame stuff a little bit too. The guy that I thought was my twin flame, this guy from France, like far around the country, that I would have these exchanges with. And I'm gonna go into that because there's a little bit of, I've noticed a cycle. We got to be careful with the cycle. So I just want to say this real quick before I go into some of the gems and the downloads that came to me, and some points, some good points that this elder, she made. When you don't know, this is the thing, I have notes too, so I'll be looking at my phone, but when you don't know your worth and you don't know your power, you know, it's kind of like something that's untapped, or you're the empath, you're the person that's usually, you know, in your, that lower vibration of that giver. You overextend yourself because of the wound and the trauma. You're probably used to being gaslit a lot as a child. So you overextend, you overgive, you overcompensate to prove, because that's what maybe a parent or a caregiver instilled in you, that you got to prove yourself. You got to make up for things with them in order to gain their love and their trust. So when you don't know your worth or your value, your power, and some people like, oh, I know my worth. Okay, hear me out, sis, because this will expose certain levels where maybe you don't really value yourself. You put yourself in a low standard. And mind you, in different cultures, women are taught to serve the man in a sense of give up your dreams. You don't have a voice. You're just some subservient being, not a helpmate where you're working together alongside with each other and you're complementary to each other, but like in this low vibration where you're meant to sell yourself. You got to compete with all these other women for a man. You know, we're instilled that as girls, as young girls. So we lower ourselves. We may know that we're the shit in math. We know that we're well versed in books and intelligent. We may know that we're beautiful physically and all of that, but there's another element of low self-esteem that we might have. So if you resonate with this and you're not ashamed to admit this, you know, this is going to help somebody. And I know that some people are prideful. A lot of people deal with pride. They do. They don't want to change. They don't want to hear it. And that's a dangerous thing. So I'm not here to speak to those people. So as far as that goes, you can manifest. I've got to be careful with my choice of words, but you can kind of attract the opposite of you, someone that is narcissistic and parasitic and leeches off of people's energy. You come into contact with those type of lovers who have maybe even a lower self-esteem, where they may not think that they're smart at all, where you might know, okay, I'm a smart chick, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm a decent looking woman, or I'm very beautiful, whatever, I can have whoever I want. But there's another element of low self-esteem where you still feel like you have to lower your standards in order to get a partner or to keep a man, and it should never be about keeping a man. Like that's So you'll meet someone that has an even shittier lower self-esteem, excuse my language, but they may hate themselves deep down, not feel like they're good enough, or they could be the finest man ever or whatever, finest person ever, but they might have a really shitty inside where they don't feel like they're good enough at all. So they'll come into contact with you. And usually people that are gifted and anointed or chosen, you're not like every other average woman. And when I say average woman of the world, that they may do certain things like everybody else. They may even look, talk, dress like everybody else, or they fit into a society norm. They don't step outside of that box. They fit in just enough, comfortably enough, or they have a lifestyle that everybody else would be in agreement with. But with you may choose a lifestyle that is a little bit different. It's a narrow path, or you may not look like the societal beauty or the typical beauty, or you might not be the type of person that this person typically goes for. So there's something about you that will attract this person because they see that light, and they see that something about you is different. That's what they might say, like, oh, she's different, or oh, she not like the other women, and they're drawn to that, right? Although they may not usually go for your type. So their lower self-esteem is attracted to your light, but it's also attracted to saying, okay, how can I gain power and control over this person, because she doesn't see her worth like that. She doesn't know her power like that. So they'll feed off of your ignorance of your value and your willingness to lower your standards for them just to be with them. In order to be with them, they feed off of that, because they know how much maybe you want to mate, or how much you really like them, or maybe even love them. And they'll exploit that because it gives them an energetic authority over you. It feeds that ego in them. It makes them feel powerful. So I'll play these games. Oh, let me go like a post of hers real quick. Let me like her picture and not say shit. Let me go watch her social media. Let me watch her stories, like every story, but I ain't gonna say nothing. It's a game. It's a game to get you hooked, or to play, like for you to that draw. Or let me and I caught this, like, it exposed so much, and I'm so glad that I came across this information, because it made my stance when I told God, I'm releasing every man in my heart that I've ever said, you know, this could be my person, or that I waited on, or I allowed myself to wait for somebody that didn't even make a serious commitment to me, or kind of led me on. Those games got exposed. Those demons got exposed. It made it even easier for me to break this, because I seen this. Like, once it was exposed, I started to see the truth. I started to see the patterns. So this person, it's a game. It's a authority that they have. So what happens is this person typically operates in flaky behavior. This is somebody that puts you in and out, up and down roller coaster cycles. You know, wheel fortune thing. It just keeps spinning, right? So they'll manifest these things because it's a false connection. It's not a real connection. If it was real, it's solid. See, the thing about men is that they know what they want. And I remember I looked at an article from men. It was like an interview or something from men, married men, that said they knew that they were going to marry their wife within less than a year. Some of them, it was like within that year that they knew that they were going to marry that woman. They already knew that this was somebody they wanted to invest in. So a man will already make his assumption about you. Oh, this is somebody I can play with, or this is somebody I can just sleep with, or this is somebody that I can be with, or this is the person I want to invest in my life into, or this is not her. They already know that. They already know that. So they're not confused. And sometimes, yeah, the heart can be confused if they entertain somebody that they happen to find a liking for. And you, just like you probably can be confused and be like, okay, this guy is really nice, or this guy, you know, he got some things I like, and this one, you could be confused in a sense, but ultimately you know what you want. And men, they're very sure what they want, because they operate more in the mind rather than in the heart. Women operate more in their emotions, so they know right off the bat. So that's one thing. So don't fall for that. Oh, he's confused. He don't know. He ain't. No, not always. So with this type of situation, this type of connection, they're like vampires. So they'll come back to feed again and again as long as you allow it. So never get fooled and be like, well, he won't never leave me alone. No, he ain't gonna leave you alone, because you're fixed for him. And you might not be the only woman that he's feeding off of, because this could just be their behavior. This could be their traits. This could be their character. So they might be the type that comes in and out and comes and goes with other women. They may even have women in different categories, like, okay, with this woman, I can do this and that, or this, it really is. And a lot of times too, they usually their heart is already connected to another person, and that person as well could also be a toxic bond for them, and that person could very well be doing what they do to you to them, right? It could be a female or a woman, excuse me, that doesn't really want him, and he's all thirsty for her. It's a game. It's demons playing with demons, right? Until you eradicate these wounds and stuff like that, it's going to perpetrate. It's a cycle. So you might notice that this person picks another female over you, and they might look like women of the world. They look like, you know, the Kardashians of the world, or the Bellas. What's their name? Can't remember those sisters' names, Gigi and Bellas. They might look like the Ari Fletchers. They might look like Nicki Minaj's and stuff. They all have a look that, like, it's a thing, right? It's on trend, or they talk a certain way, or they live a certain lifestyle, and you're contrary to that. They like that about you, but you're not it. You're just a feed. You're just a fix. This is a false connection. Remember, it's not a healthy connection. It's a game for them. Okay, so they may have somebody that they prefer over you, and that person is, you know, more relatable to where they're at, if that makes sense. So your validation of this person, the more you validate them, the more you let them know, yeah, I'm available. Yeah, I want you. Yeah, I'm interested in you. Yeah, I want to invest in you. I feel like you're my person. And they may even play on that with you too, and be like, yeah, I feel some connection with you. That's a game. If they feel all of that with you, they would respect you. A person that is constantly, if there's confusion anywhere where there's confusion, sis, that person is not for you most of the time. Like, a series of confusion and a cycle of confusion and a prolonged period of confusion in a situation, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. So your validation is a fix for this person's bruised ego and their brokenness ultimately. Okay, they may even be the type that has multiple women on them, you know, and if this resonates with the opposite or the same sex, whatever, take it. But they usually will have multiple people that they're already entertaining because, again, this person has a low self-esteem. They got to have multiple people that's entertaining them, or that they're entertained by, or that they're entertaining. It feeds the ego. Feeds the ego. It fills the void of brokenness. It validates the ego. Why else would you need a whole bunch of people in your midst after you, chasing after you? Why else would you need to feel the need to play with this woman and that woman? You could say, oh, it's because, oh, you got to explore your options. You got to know what you like. There's a way to do it where you're not involving the heart, where you're not playing with people's emotions, their mind and emotions, where you're not playing with their bodies and stuff like that. There's a different way to do it. You know what I mean? You can always sense too when this person's about to come back after some time of ghosting you. So this person could have ghosted you, or some type of lower inconsistent communication. You can sense when this person's about to pop back up again. How it may come in the form of you, they may come in energetically before they make a physical appearance. So I'm gonna just make a disclaimer with this right here too. So if you already have some type of obsession or a constant, like you're constantly thinking about this person already, you got to consider that some of this might be your energy playing into it. You don't want to confuse it, because some people might be like, oh, well, that must mean that this person is an energy vampire. Like sometimes you can project onto other people and pull on their energy because of your desire. So just use your discernment. So with dealing with this challenge to stop thinking about this person, especially when you're not even thinking of them, or you decided to let them go, cut ties, this is how you know too, or you decided, okay, let me go out and date, or let me open my options open again, or let me just focus on me. Soon as that happens, that person starts pulling on your energy. Like, you'll know. That's another sign you'll know that this is somebody that feeds off of your energy, because like I said, you'll be like, oh, I ain't even think about them, I ain't doing this, and then all of a sudden it pulls you back in. It's like a vampire call, like it sucks you in. So this could also be prevalent due to a soul tie with this person. Furthermore, if there's sex involved or masturbation, like you think about this person and you know what I mean, that can create those ties there energetically too. So the pulls can also be felt in the heart chakra, like a pain in the heart, or like it kind of feels like heartburn, or it's like a deep pain in the heart or in the chest. Can be in the stomach, like it feels like anxiety, butterflies, anxiousness. Can also come in like the form of horniness, like they're desiring this person sexually heavily. You can also have a series of dreams with this person in them before they actually make their physical appearance back in your life. So yeah. So I'm just going to share some of these tips, and some of these things resonated with me and I noted them down, and others, these were things that came to me personally, like, you know, do's and don'ts from me, and you can apply this if it resonates. But it's never safe, and you got to guard your heart. And what I mean by that, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be open and welcoming to people, but just like a stranger, where your mom says don't take candy from strangers, when you come across a man or a woman, I'm specifically speaking to women with men, because men could be a weakness for some people, you know. So you got to be discerning of this, especially when you're someone that desires love. Never give your heart, your emotions up to a person that has not committed to you. If this person has not made a solid commitment to you, or telling you that they are investing and you both are in agreement that you're going to invest in each other, it is not wise to give your heart to that person, because what you're saying is, I'm just going to trust you with this, and I hope you do well with it because of how I feel about you. But this person could be in their mind like, you got to think of it this way. Not everybody loves like you do. Not everybody has a heart like you. Not everybody holds the capacity to even care for your heart. Not everybody is called to be your lover. And that's by design. We let our emotions rule the show. We let our emotions run game on us, or let our heart and what we desire and what we want, and we just freely open. But no, until this person and you come to a clear and direct agreement that this is, we're dating exclusively, or you're my mate, or we're engaged, or we're gonna get married, like something that is concrete and clear. Not none of that hypothetical, oh, I could see you as my oh, I could see you as my wife, or oh, I could see this, and that hypothetical, that's a game. That's a game. It's a game. And not everybody's going to agree with this, because I know sex is just to, to a lot of people nowadays, sex is just something that you just share, you know what I mean? Like, you just give it. So it's not looked at as something sacred like that anymore between two people or the right person. It's just, now it's anybody can get it. I'm horny, I like you, we got, oh, get on Tinder, swipe, okay, I like with how they look, let's fuck, let's meet up, and that's it. So it might not resonate with everybody, but for those of you that you value your body enough to discern and be wise who you exchange your body with, who you let in your womb, who you let in that portal, in that space, because what goes in it affects your body, it affects your mental, it affects your energy. So you got to be mindful of that. You don't want to keep creating soul ties with people either. They don't got to be people that you can't stop thinking about, or it could be somebody that you just look at as a F buddy. But what's happening is some type of energetic, lower vibrational energy where they're married. This demon is married with this demon, and y'all just, that's a whole nother topic. I ain't gonna go into that. But it's wise not to give your body to someone that has not declared or made an actual commitment to you. Where there's confusion, it's most likely some BS. Build a friendship with this person. So yeah, you're both attracted to each other, but again, you want to get to know who that person is before you decide, I'm going to give my heart to this person. And sometimes we say, oh, I can't help who I love. You can care about a person, but you also got to be very wise with your heart. Again, you got to think of it as a wise investment, that my heart is something of value. So not everybody deserves to hold it, to have it, because some people don't know how to handle treasures. They don't know how to keep them sacred and protect them. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to care for your heart. So you got to be mindful of that. And building a friendship is wise, because you want to be friends with your partner anyway, right? You want to have a solid friendship with that person. So building a friendship first is not a bad thing. It lets you even know, do you even like this person? Like, do I really even like this? Like, genuinely really like them? Like, take off the hormones, the chemistry. Do I really like you as a person? Would I even be friends with you? Like, if I was a guy, would I even want to be your friend? Genuinely. If you were my homegirl, would I really want to be your friend? Genuinely, do I really like you? Fast and consistent pursuits does not always equate to a genuine interest. Narcissists move like that. They like to move real quick, real fast. They real heavy with it. They already talking about marriage like within the first 2 days, or I see myself having babies with you, or we should travel. That is, it's like Disney talk. It's like fantasy talk. Like, it's just loose lips. It's lip service. Like, you gotta be discerning, more discerning than that when that happens. Like, that's a red flag. And I've experienced this before, and I see the game now. A lot of times, whether it was I was interested in them too, or I wasn't interested, I didn't have, you'll notice that this person will break character too. Those types of people that are already talking about, oh, I want to marry you, oh, I'm in love with you, and you don't really know each other. You haven't built a foundation. You could feel a connection to someone, perhaps, or I feel like I know you. I feel a strong connection, but you want to build on that. You want to explore. You want to discern it. So you got to be very wise, because usually those people will, that facade, that mask falls off real quickly, especially if there's an aim behind it. The oldest trick is trying to get in your pants with that, or trying to gain a fix or find their next victim. Okay, if it's a narcissistic situation. So them being persistent all of the time and calling you and texting you often and love bombing you, that could be a sign of falseness there. So you just gotta be discerning. And like I said, men are very sure. Therefore, if there's any confusion in a situation, if there's any in and out patterns with this person, they're not really genuinely invested in you. Because if they were, they wouldn't want anyone else to have you. If they really saw value in you, when you see value in things in the store, you like, oh, I really want this, but I don't know. Okay, if I don't come back and get it now, somebody else might get it. If you see something that's the last thing, it's like this, let's say it's some shoes, some bomb ass heels, and you come across them and you see there's only one size or one pair left in your size, and you're like, oh my God, if I don't take these shoes, I'm gonna regret it. You will buy those shoes. I bet you'll buy them. Even if you got like $50 left, you're gonna buy them probably, because you don't want to miss out on that, right? So same thing with a person that sees value in you, and you're something that's rare. You're not like any other woman. They're not gonna be like, I'm gonna put them on this rack right here and hopefully ain't nobody go get them. That means they're not that interested. They're not that invested. Harsh, sounds harsh, but it puts a lot of things in practical perspective. If a person really genuinely values me, they're going to invest in me. They're not going to want to lose me. And I'm not talking about a man that shelves you, because that's the man that's going to put you and hide you in a, you know how like back in the day when I was like go to school shopping or something, and I seen something that I like in the clothes aisle, I'm like, okay, if I go around to another store, I'll come back to this store, but I'm gonna hide it back here, and I'll try to fold it up behind the shoe rack and then come back and think that that shirt was gonna be there. It's kind of how this person or these types of people that are not truly invested in you, that's what they'll do to you. They'll be like, I'm gonna keep her hidden, I'm gonna make her think that I don't know yet, I'm not sure yet, or I like this person, but I don't really want to invest in them, so I'll shelf them for later. Nope. You never want to do that to yourself. You won't even allow another person to do that. If they come back, it's usually because they want to hold on to you for selfish reasons, right? So it's not genuine because they care about you. A person this is how you got to separate it. And I'm trying to put it in practical, like in a practical visual for you, where you can see, like, if you value something, you're going to purchase that item. You don't want to lose that item. But when it's not something you're really sure about or that you really want like that, and you might find something better, right? Remember how I said, like, I'm gonna go to another store, I might find a shirt that's cheaper, and catch that cheaper, somebody that's easier than this person. Because if you hold yourself to a certain standard with these people, and they're like, oh, she ain't giving it up, or she don't play those games with me, she don't let me come over her house after hours, or I can't just call her whenever I want to, or cancel plans and then call her back and then expect her to be available. When you set some boundaries, you're gonna see some people kind of flee, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. But a person that's like, okay, let me keep shopping around until I find what I really want. If I don't, maybe I'll come back to this. You don't want to put and hold yourself in that position with anybody to ever treat you like that. And this is coming out of a mouth of somebody that allowed people to do that to her. I allow people to do that to me. And as of recent, I decided, like, I'm done with that. Like, I chose myself over that. If it be that spirit wants to, make something happen with people, then it'll happen. But if not, I'm going to choose myself, because at the end of the day, all I have is me. And I'm not going to put someone else in a position of more value than I place myself. But, yeah. Never seek to prove yourself in order to gain or earn. You must know your worth. So you don't got to prove that you're the better woman. You don't got to earn somebody's heart. That's not how genuine unconditional love goes. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You're already tried and approved by God. So what's the point? You don't got to prove your value or your worth to anything or anybody. It's like kind of like a job where you go into a job interview and you want to put on your best face. You know what I mean? Like that's different. But when it comes to love, it's something that comes free. It's not something that you got to earn or prove value. So this is the fleeing part. This is a good thing because I used to really feel like, oh, there must be something wrong with me. Oh, why? Maybe. No, it's gaslighting yourself. Anytime a person flees, that once you revealed healthy boundaries, healthy standards for yourself, and you value yourself, these people, they're going to flee. Or you might come into conversation with somebody and they chopping it up with you because they're like, oh, she fine, or oh, she seemed cool, and you guys are talking, and then you say something like, yeah, I'm abstinent, I'm saving myself for my husband, or right now, I'm not really, putting too much emphasis on focus on love right now. I'm working on my purpose. And they might be interested a little bit, like, oh, they different. But then there's something in them that they'll talk to you. They might even exchange numbers with you. They won't call you back because there's something inside of them is like, nah, I can't push that envelope with that person. Let that go because you just exposed something. I briefly share this happens to me often. Like I always intrigue people. They'll be intrigued by me. They'll talk to me. And then soon as you kind of reveal and they can see that you can, especially when you are a seer and you can see people's hearts, you can see their facade, you can see their ego, you can see what's in their heart, or you can see their intentions, or you can sense something about a person. They don't want, a demon does not like being exposed. A person that is truly vulnerable and has a real heart, they won't really necessarily mind too much that you see maybe that they have a little bit of insecurities, or they're dealing with an addiction or something. This is somebody that they're pure in intention, so they're not going to hide anything from you. It's not saying, oh, I got to be perfect. But when you're in the presence, a light is in the presence of a shadow being or darkness within a person or on a person, they're going to run from you. It's only when you don't have your light turned on or you don't know who you are that they can exploit you. So if anytime somebody flees or leaves your life, or a dude doesn't call you back, or you set a boundary, let him go. Like, let him flee. Like, yeah, I want you to flee. Like, leave me alone. Bye. I used to kind of be like, oh my God, why is this happening? Now I just I let it be because I know that that's not my person. Like, if you ain't him, you're not my husband. I don't care. I used to be like, oh my God, what did I do? Why is this happening? And then if you really think about it, it's like, do I really even want that? Did I really even? Because I told you I had made a friend with this guy I met at a lounge like a few months ago, and he was on it. Like, he was consistent. He called me, he texted me every morning, beautiful and this and that, and was speaking life into me, and oh yeah, you stay on this and keep doing this and blah blah, all into that. Soon as I told him about a dream I had where he was doing something, and it wasn't anything bad, it was just I seen he was out at the club and he tried to hide it. I felt that energy the night of I had that dream. I felt him trying to hide the fact he was going to the club, and it's really stupid because we're just friends. So that's a red flag. And I asked him, I said, did you go out last night? And he was like, yeah, I went out, it was whack. And like, okay, I didn't ask you all that, admitting too much. So fast forward, I told him, like, I had a whole dream that you went out that one time. And that when I tell you, I did not hear back from him. He watched my stories. He kept watching my stories and stuff on Instagram, but he wouldn't talk to me until I called him out. And I called him out. I was like, what happened? I didn't hear from you. He tried to gaslight me. I'm like, okay, block. And I blocked him. I have not talked to him since. I don't want anybody like that in my vicinity. You are not to be trusted. So if they flee, let them flee. Like, that exposed something. I thank God that I seen that. I was entertaining and thinking, okay, maybe it might be something, but something in me knew that he wasn't it. Let them. Don't chase them. If they ran the first time, like if this is somebody that ran from you the first time, that most likely was your sign from spirit telling you that's not the person for you. Do we get in fear and we push away the things that we may truly want or may truly be for us, but it comes back and it sticks. A person will show and approve that they are truly changed or that they truly value you. But if it's a person that's constantly in a cycle, like I said, putting you in the cycle of confusion, that's not your person. Never fall for somebody's potential. Be very careful of that, because especially if you are a seer, you can see everybody's potential, romantic or platonic. You can see a person's potential to be great in business or a great artist or a great public speaker. You may see the anointing on somebody, but if they're choosing to operate in their darkness, you cannot feed into that potential stuff. You cannot do it. That's dangerous. And one of the things that this elder, where, she helped me with some of these points, she mentioned that when she was operating in her shadow self before she healed, that she was a narcissist. She loved to play mind games with men, and she would show like a little bit of a side of her to the guy that was that potential that he sees in her. And the enemy will use that mask on people where you'll be like, okay, she's about to, or he's about to dip out. He's getting fed up with you. And then that face comes back and it's like, remember the potential? That's kind of what happens with these people. That it's like, it's a game to pull you back in. You gotta be wise. You gotta be discerning with people. You can't just jump the gun always. And I'm speaking to those that have big hearts, because I know what it's like when you desire love or you love people, because this game can kind of similarity, can be ran in a platonic situation with a friend or something. You got to be wise with people. You got to learn how to discern spirits. You got to learn how to discern people's personalities, their traits, their behaviors, their patterns. So don't fall for potential. Never do that. Never do that. Always ask questions. When you're having conversations with a man you just met or whatever, ask questions. You don't want to dominate the conversation. Especially if they're asking you all the questions like an interview. That's most likely them trying to read you and check out your boundaries, look for weaknesses and stuff like that. They're trying to figure out who you are. It's like an interview, like, okay, let me see what you're about. Okay, what can I get away with? Okay, you're like this. Okay, you'll let me, okay, I tested you on that. I didn't call you back when I said I was, and you just said, oh, it was fine. Okay, I can keep doing that. Gotta let people talk. Just let people talk. But also engage, but don't give too much of yourself. Like, it's gotta be a mutual exchange. Don't be afraid to ask questions like, what's your take on whatever you're interested in, right? What are your views? And because if you're so desperate, and a lot of people make this mistake in marriage, they'll marry a person that doesn't have similar values or ambitions or goals, or sees family unit the same way. They may not want kids. You may want kids. Like, how does that work? You can't talk yourself out of a true desire to bear children and then lay up with somebody that doesn't want kids at all and be like, oh, he might change. Oh, she might want to have kids. Like, you can't do that. You can't have false expectations of people. If a person tells you, I don't like dogs, and you love dogs, and you marry that person, you're going to be miserable. You want to marry the right person. People are so desperate because they idolize marriage so much, or idolize having a man or whatever, or not being, God forbid, being single so much that you'll carry on relationships that don't speak to your worth. And you'll downplay yourself because you're like, okay, well, he does this or she does this, and I really like them, and I feel this connection with them, but this person is not, they're not an equal match. You're not a vibrational match. You're not equally yoked with you. So you're doing yourself this disservice of settling for somebody that's not even meant for you. And it goes back to a manifestation of low self-worth. You got to love yourself more to say, no, I want what's God's best, or universe, whatever you want to call source. I want the best for me. I don't want to settle for second best. And that doesn't mean that this person is not going to have flaws, but they're going to love you the way that you deserve to be loved. They're not going to half-ass it. Girl, I was just thinking about that in my head too. I'm getting my wedding. Nina got a funny story with that. But yeah, people are so desperate that and catch that phrase, that person that she's referring to, she was saying she wanted the wedding, not the marriage. That not what comes with marriage, but I want the wedding. A lot of people just want the title to say they have a man, or to say they're married, or because it's a sense of feeling your identity. It's a sense of, okay, this is going to help me with my self-esteem. And one of my like good friends that's married, she told me this. She said, even though I'm with my divine mate, my husband, we're married, I still have issues. That didn't go away just because I got married to the right man. I still have my own issues. That's true. It doesn't go away. Just because you say I do, you're in the honeymoon phase, but when it wears off, you're still left with the stuff that was already there inside of you. It didn't go nowhere. Beware, like I said, of extreme showers of affection early on. I love yous, urgencies and pressure on you, especially when it's like sex. They're pressuring you to sleep with you already initially, or they're already trying to come into your life. Some of them, they might be trying to move into your house. That could be a homosexual trying to, you know, find some place to rest. You know, a bird that's trying to find a nest. Like, you gotta be careful with that too. But no, in all seriousness, like urgencies and pressures and stuff like that, like that's also a red flag. Because if you don't feel that too, you got to be sober minded. This is the thing. Especially if you're somebody that really genuinely wants a divine connection, you got to be sober in your mind, because it's very easy to get carried away with the butterflies, but you can't be blinded by that. That's like a kid having a crush. It's natural, but it wears off, right? So you want to make sure, concrete, but this is beyond just chemistry. It's beyond fancying a person, but that you genuinely yoke together. And usually it'll just flow. You don't got to force it. And if there's an element of something that you need, if it's not something that this person is genuinely desiring to work on, they may tell you, oh, I'm working on my heart. Yeah, I'm working on loving you. Yeah, No. That's like that's another tactic to keep you stuck. Like, oh, he said he working on it. And you got to be careful, because like, yeah, a person could genuinely be working on themselves, so you don't want to count them out, but you also want to be discerning enough to be like, okay, is this person just feeding me BS? Because you'll feel the transition when a person really turns their light on, and like in a way where they're really working on themselves. You're going to see a change, and you're going to feel it and sense it within that person. Even if it's a work in progress, you'll start to sense it, you know, because you could be low on yourself, but if you're making an effort to still get up every morning, or you're making an effort to still get your mind right, people around you are going to see that, even though they know that you're not in your best state, but they see the effort. That's different versus a person that's like, I'm working on myself, but they're doing the same thing over. You don't see no progress. You don't sense nothing different. Yeah, no. Because that's the move of a narcissist. They play on your weaknesses. They play on your desires, especially if you told them what they want, what you desire, whether it's from them or what you just want hypothetically. It's easy for a time to put on that facade and play that game with you, switch off different masks with you, because men can do that. They can be one way. I've seen this for myself. I've seen this and I experienced this for myself, where a man will play on and be like, yeah, I'm into that. Yeah, I'm on that journey too. Yeah, I do this. Yeah, I do that. But then when you see them with other people, they're a completely other character. And you're like, who the hell is this? Who is you? That's the game. That's the game. And I'll be damned if I ever go back to putting my heart in like taking myself off the market unofficially for somebody that has not officially invested in me, because I feel a connection and because they're playing on that. This person could be genuinely attracted to you. This person can be genuinely attracted to you. They can be fancy you. They might look at you as like this mysterious thing. Like I said, typically when you're like I said, an anointed person, you're gifted, you're chosen, you can't date everybody because you're not called for everybody. You don't operate in the world. You do things different. Your lifestyle is a narrow path. You're not doing everything that everybody is doing. You can't resonate with everybody like that. Not everybody is going to be for you. Not everybody is going to like you. You may have people that are interested in you. They may be intrigued because you're different, but be leery of that, because just because these people are intrigued, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean they're going to invest and that they're going to value you in the way that you deserve to be valued. Spirit likes to pair people up with people that are unlikely sometimes. Like opposites will attract because it's something that you pull out of them that they would never have pulled out of them in an environment amongst people that are just like them, and vice versa with you. They may use somebody that is completely different from you to pull out certain things inside of you that you need, and that will expand you and edify you, whereas people in your environment may not be able to pull out of you. Spirit works like that. But there's a difference between people that are like, okay, I'm intrigued, but they still dwell in a path that is not aligned with you, or they may even be in a path themselves where they're running from their truth. Sometimes Spirit will use you to just be a light post for certain people to pull them out of their lifestyles that they're not really called to be in, because they've grown accustomed, or they feel inferior to their calling. They don't feel good enough to, step into their purpose. But you, because you're different, it triggers that person to be their authentic self. They may be able to be authentic with you for a time, but if they're so stuck and they have these strongholds of inadequacy and alcoholism, sex addiction, they're not going to be able to stay in that energy too long until they actually really deal with themselves. So you might actually repel this person from time to time because of that spirit in them. It doesn't want to get free. And I know what this is like, because I've dealt with this myself, where I couldn't be around certain people for a time because I wasn't ready to free myself of certain demons, certain inadequacies, or things I needed to heal. I was being triggered by them. And I believe I do that to a lot of people on my channel. I say things that offend people, not in offensive, like in a disrespectful way, or that it's coming from a place of to hurt somebody's feelings, but because it's triggering a demon in somebody they're not ready to get free of. And I accept that, but it doesn't mean that I have to stop what I'm saying. So like that, you may be that for people, and you may find that some people don't want to hang out with you sometimes, and then maybe you get left out because your light will trigger their demons. It sheds light on things within them. It might manifest itself, unfortunately, as jealousy, or it might manifest itself as them feeling inadequate or them feeling shamed. That demon feels convicted by your light. So sometimes, like, if you resonated so far with these things, with these types of energies, connections, sometimes you're just meant to come into these people's life to be that light. Same with friendships, I wasn't always like self-aware of myself like that. I was operating in toxic energy when I was in my early 20s, 18 and 19, I should say. I was very toxic. Had a low self-esteem, but thought I was the shit. And like, that's not true. It's like you can have this false confidence about yourself because you feel like you're cute, you're funny, you got all these dudes and stuff, and you're doing this and you're doing that, but your inner self feels like shit because it needs validation. Like, I had to have attention by multiple guys. I would flirt with them and like to get a reaction, and sleep with this guy. And like, in that early stage of my life, when I didn't know myself like that, I was toxic, and therefore I attracted toxic people. I was able to kick it with certain people and go out to clubs and drink with this person, smoke with that person, sleep with that person. Fine. Because I was in my darkness. I wasn't in my light. It's broken. Until I was beaten down, like deep in the dumps, where I said, I can't do this anymore. I felt so far from God. I was so depressed. I hated myself. I felt so many emotions, and I had a daughter, and God, thank God for my daughter, because she slowed me down. But even when I was still in a bad relationship, it got to a point where I said, I got to do better for her. And I can't hang out with this friend no more. I can't be around this person no more. I can't do this anymore because I have a baby. I have a little girl. And it also was a light turned on that said, oh, this relationship, I don't want to be with this person anymore. I can't do it. We're not compatible. We're toxic for each other. I'm toxic for myself. I can't be that way. And that's only until then that I started coming into my spiritual awakening and my journey, fully aware of my journey, at least, because it's a journey from birth, but where my light turned on. And yeah, I stumbled and fall, and we're going to always do that. We're human. We're not ever going to reach this state of perfectionism, where we're completely perfect. But yeah, I was, doing things, and God has so much grace on my life because I would be hanging out with the wrong people. I've been put in dangerous situations, doing things I had no business, walking in darkness that God kept me from being harmed by people. The worst that ever happened to me was a man putting their hands on me. But God forbid somebody hurt me badly or took me out of here. Or I got hooked on some drugs or something, and couldn't recover from that. So I'm grateful, and I'm not ashamed about my past because it's a testimony. It shows me where I came from and how to help people, how to discern, and how to break free of those strongholds and those yokes and those demons that can dwell on the inside of us, and then also being able to discern where they come from, because I didn't have that proper validation as a little girl from my parents. I didn't have that pouring into, I had a caregiver, a family member of mine that I spent a lot of time with that would tear me down, call me stupid, yell at me, put their hands on me sometimes. So I didn't have that. So it echoed in my relationships with men, and even my so-called friendships, that would echo that abuse. If it wasn't hands-on abuse, it was verbal abuse. It was spiritual abuse. It was mental abuse. So I speak passionately about this because I have a big heart for women, and it breaks my heart when I see women and I really do believe this, and some people may not, but when I see women on the news or these stories on whatever social media sites, or a woman her life was taken by her husband or her mate or her baby daddy or her ex, that most likely is because she was dealing with a man that she wasn't supposed to be with. And it's unfortunate, and I do believe that God gives us warnings time and time again, and I'm not blaming anybody, but I feel like it's a proof and a pure manifestation of when you marry or date the wrong person. And that's why I speak so passionately about women breaking free from false connections, because you deserve to be happy. And I know that what we see, it makes us feel like it's limited to be in a relationship with somebody that's healthy, or you're taught that, or you feel that subconsciously within yourself because of your experiences, that true love does not exist, or this is the best that I can do. Or if I don't go for this now with this person, even though they done show me who they are, if I don't try this, I'm gonna miss out. And that's not true. What's for you will never pass you by. But you got to make yourself available, and you got to make yourself ready for it, because the right man could come into your life tomorrow and have everything that you need emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. But if you don't believe that you're worthy of it, you may push it away, or prolong the process because you haven't dealt with your heart. You haven't dealt with your insecurities. And it takes a brave woman, it takes a confident woman, a secure woman to say to themselves, I'm broken in some areas, or I may be broken in general, or I was wrong, or I need healing. It takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot. And there's nothing wrong with love. There's nothing wrong with desiring love, because sometimes when it's a God-given desire, God implants that desire in your heart because it's something that he wants for you too, or they, spirit, the Most High wants for you too, because there's something in that desire that when it manifests, it's not only going to bless your life, but bless others' lives. So when it's truly God-given, it's meant to be birthed. So don't be shamed if you have a desire for love, but sometimes we can make an idol out of our desires due to our lack. Like, oh, am I ever going to have somebody? Or why am I so single? And I went through that too. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't shame yourself. Don't allow other people to shame you. And most definitely don't allow people to shame you for being single and how young or how old, or, you know, don't allow people to do that, because the Most High God knows when it's your time for certain things to come to pass in your life, and when you're ready energetically for what's for you. So it's not based off of mama saying, you know, oh, I got somebody I met at the grocery store for you. That may not be the person, you know, it could be, but it also may not. And being discouraged because someone said, okay, you're 35. Where's your husband? Where's your wife? Where's your kids at? You know what I mean? I want some grandbabies. And yeah, it might be a little pressure, but you got to withstand that, because everybody's journey is different. And singleness is just that time for you. That's a season where you get to be with yourself and God and be of service to people, you know? On the podcast, I didn't share it. I was like, oh, this is kind of corny, but one of the tips that I shared in the latest podcast with Nina and I was, ask, how can I be of service to people? You know, my purpose. If I don't know what my purpose is, what is my purpose? Or how can I be of some service to somebody right now in my life? How can I get closer to you, God? How do I have a relationship with you? Or work on building and developing that relationship, building that and developing that relationship with good friendships that you have, family relationships. That's a time where you can discover what you want out of life. You get to explore, you get to travel, you get to take on new lessons, new studies, or go back to school, or take on new hobbies. Focus deeply in your passions. It's not a death sentence to be single. Sometimes it's I believe it's purposeful. There's a time and a season that in everything. There's a time and a season for everything, and it's purposeful. Every season in our life is purposeful, even the ones that are shitty. And I got to believe in that too sometimes, because I'll be like, this is some bullshit. But even that, like for real, like even that, there's a purpose in every season. You just got to find the purpose. That's why I say all the time to people, you got to ask God, what season am I in? And how do I navigate through this season? Because some seasons you'll be called to just rest, surrender, do nothing. Some you'll be called to, you know, maybe go out and date, or maybe put heavy focus on getting yourself out there with work and career, or going back to school, or spending time with your family or your friends, really making the most out of your time with yourself. Because when you get into a relationship with anybody, you're still going to carry that brokenness if you don't deal with it. You're still going to deal with it. It's still going to be hidden within you. And it was another thing that was very funny to me. I can't remember which video I was watching, but this elder that I was watching, she was saying that for those that watch Tyler Perry movies anyway, because some of them are real corny, but they always have this male savior in the movie for the woman that has been beaten down and broken. There's always this male savior. And sometimes God will send people in our life to be divine helpers and pull us through, but don't expect people to be your savior. Not even your friends or your family. You'll have divine help. You'll have helpers, but you don't want to make that tie of what's the right word? Desperation and neediness out of your mate. Yes, you're there to pick each other up and edify each other and not tear each other down, but you don't want to make your person solely the sole source of your joy, source of your worth and your value and finding out who you are. You can't put that solely in your mate. Whether you're a man or a woman, you can't do that to each other. When there's that broken little boy or little girl, you'll seek for people to validate you. You'll seek for your partner to be the source of happiness. And when they don't do something that you like, or they say something you don't like, or they might say something that triggers that inner wound, you feel so torn down and broken. I remember my ex, the one that I was in a relationship for 6 years, my daughter's father, anytime he would say something that was demeaning towards me or do something that made me feel a lack of self-worth, I would wallow in that so deep because I made him my God. I wouldn't do certain things without his approval, and I didn't really notice it until someone called out. I think it was my grandma might have said it to me. But I did that, and a lot of women do that and never do that, especially when they're not your husband. It's different when you, that's why I say when women, you got to choose the right man, because your husband is meant to be your protector. They are meant to be your provider. And when I say provider, not just material sense, but also provide for you spiritually and emotionally. And if you're dating a man that is mentally unsound within himself, emotionally unstable, broken himself, full of hatred, he's going to lead you down a dark path. He's going to try to tear you down with him, guaranteed. He's going to break you down. He's not going to like the fact that you're in your light because he's not in his. So he's going to tear you down, guaranteed. That's a fact. So that's why you gotta be in a place where you allow God to be your matchmaker for real, or the universe, whatever you feel comfortable saying. You're the higher source of the higher intelligence of all things, the omnipresence of all. Being able to say, okay, this person got this credential, just like your dad. Traditionally, marriage was a father, giving the approval to the man seeking their daughter's hand in marriage. The father would have to approve of that man. Otherwise, he wouldn't release his daughter. Same thing with the divine, the most high. You got to allow spirit to release you to the right person. Because sometimes we can play matchmaker ourselves, and we see how far that gets sometimes, right? Not too good. Not too good. And when you're allowing spirit to guide you through the process, and you trust in the nudges, you trust in the signs, you trust what you're getting when you ask spirit for confirmation, or when you ask spirit to guide you, you got to trust that you got this and that you're not going to be led astray. Because if you get married to the wrong person, it could lead you to a path of a lot of, not even could, it will lead you, because they're not the person for you. There's going to be natural division because you guys are not a vibrational match. It's like this energy is over here and this energy is over here, and this energy vibrates on a different frequency, but it's like I'm trying to get you to, it's the friction. That's where the confusion comes in. That's why it's always this in and out, up and down. One minute they love you, one minute they hate you, one minute you love them, one minute you hate them. And if it be this too, if it be that the person that's for you, you guys are not ready to come together, because sometimes spirit will bring two people together to activate each other and then maybe cause a divine separation so that you can get on your ish and vice versa, or spirit will reveal that's your wife, that's your husband, or that's your person, whatever. But it's not time yet. It doesn't mean that it's going to automatically manifest boom, boom, boom right away. It might take some time. But what you'll see is elevation and growth. And spirit's going to separate the two of you until you heal the things that you need to heal. Does that mean you're going to be completely healed? No, it just means that the things that would cause division and friction in your connection, whether this person, let's say they have a lust on them, or they have a sex addiction, they are addicted to multiple parties, that's not going to work in your union. It's not going to work in your marriage or whatever, right? So that has to be removed. That has to be eradicated. But if it's that you are dwelling with somebody, that's in that energy, you're going to have a lot of pain. Or spirit may be like, okay, this is not your person, and I'm separating you because I can see this person has this, and that, and they're not willing to heal. They're not willing to release those parts of themselves. You know, you don't want to waste your time on that person. It's not really that difficult, to be honest. Like when you heal, like I said, it's gonna be something that other people see. You may be like, because somebody might be like, oh my God, you're glowing, or you just sound different. You're like, I don't sound no different. And it's because the work that you're doing, it's manifesting. People can sense it and see it. So if a person's truly working on themselves, it's not just going to come out of their mouth. They're not going to just be saying the right words, and because that's them trying to convince you, or maybe even convince themselves. But you'll be able to sense when someone is truly grown and when they're truly working on themselves. You'll be able to see it. And that's also a beautiful thing too, because it's like that's the power in spirit. Like that's the glory in God, to be like, this person, I was like this, or this person was like this, but see where they came from, and you get to really see the proof and the evidence that they've grown, that they've healed. This is a narrow path, you guys, for real, because it's so easy to just date down. It's easy. People will opt to that. Why? Because they don't want to change, or they're not ready to change. They fear change. They fear the healing. They get repelled by the word healing. It's discouragement to them. That's why I said it really takes a brave person to be like, I got some issues. And you might recognize it, but not be ready to actually uncover it yet or really deal with it, you know? And that comes with time. But then it's a narrow path, like I said, because everybody's going to take the wide path that says, I can fuck who I want. And I'm just be blunt. I can fuck who I want. I can marry or date who I want. I can date multiple people if I want to. I can still play manipulative tactics on my mates. I can cry and cry until they come back. They can buy me something. They can say the right words and they're back. Some people are addicted to the toxicity. They're addicted to the back and forth because it's a high. When you're low, you need a high. And if you're not low enough where you say, I'm tired, and the high that I want is a high vibrational energy, I want to change in my life, then the low can be, I just want a high. I want to fix. I want some sex. I want some drama. I want that drama. Like, some people are addicted to that. And I ain't got nothing for you, because I can't help you with that. Yeah. Steam blunt. And I'm like I said, I'm gonna lose some people saying that. Like, but I gotta be real. Like, it is what it is. Like, people are addicted to drama. So especially too, if you're like all up in the world and the society of things, and you see like the what's that, the rapper and his girlfriend, they're so fucking toxic. It's sad. It's really actually sad. Blueface, the rapper Blueface. Some of you don't even know who that is, but him and his girlfriend, like, they have a whole dating show that's about to come out. You have Love and Hip Hop people, you know, and mind you, this is just a society, like the youth. I'm really scared for the youth, because if they don't have the proper examples of relationships and healthy dynamics with people, they're going to gravitate to that stuff because they think it's cute. And that's why I really speak against the twin flame, the whole twin flame stuff, because of the effects that I've seen, how it's affected people negatively rather than good, for the most part. How it's affected people negatively, and how it perpetrates a cycle of toxicity. And it's like, that's not love. I'm sorry. And I already spoke on that. I went in on that one day. I ain't doing that again right now. But yeah, people like drama. They like that. They want to be able to dictate their lives in a way that it leads to the path of destruction, because it's a live now, cry later society for the most part. Me as a millennial, and the others that come that are behind us, it's normal. Love is toxicity. Love is back and forth. Love is confusion. Love is, we broke up today. We're fighting. We're arguing. We're crying. We're getting back together. Oh, I need some space. And then space is going out and sleeping with multiple girls and then come back to you. That is what we've been programmed to believe is normal. Baby mamas is the new wives. I don't promote that because that was where I was at in my early 20s, trying to play house and put somebody in a place of being my husband that was not my husband legally, nor trying to be a husband. And now it's just like normalcy. I don't think it's cute. And some people, that might be their thing, like, okay, we don't have to get married, we don't have to have paperwork, but it's not it's not giving out the right impression, if that makes sense. And this is not me being judgmental, and I believe that some people, they will feel that way, and it's because the demons is convicted. Really, it's not about being perfect, because we're never going to be perfect, but it's about being healthy to yourself. How much do you love yourself? Do you really think you're worth dealing with somebody that sleeps around on you or has multiple women or has baby mamas on the side, and then they're talking to you, and then they're playing mind games with you? That's only being able to still be played out because how much you really value yourself. That's the only reason why it's still playing out. You can sugarcoat it with some Amber Rose ideologies of feminist movement, horror, whatever slut walk type of ideologies you want to. That's not doing anybody no good. Do I believe that women can do what they want with their bodies? Yes, it's your free will. But at the end of the day, your free will choices, do they align with what your divine will choice is? Is that what's best for you, though? Is sleeping just saying, oh, I can do what I want with my pussy, and open your legs to the next person and just to say, oh, I fucked up, oh, I'm a bad bitch. And then it's like, what did you get out of that? I don't understand it. Me as a woman, like, I don't get that type of ideology. I don't. Somebody can tell me where the empowerment in that. I would love to hear it. I'm very open to hear it. I don't see the empowerment in that type of moving like that. I don't see it. I do not. But everybody has their path. Everybody has their time. Everybody, they're free to. We have free will. God gave us the grace of free will. We have it. There's also divine will. And, when it serves us, we like to talk about God and the universe and alignment and law of attraction when it suits our needs. But when it comes to you really making that sacrifice for things that are not for you, we repel it. But as they say, obedience is better than sacrifice. So I mean, obedience, not like you're, oh, you got to submit. No, not that. Obedience meaning alignment with being in accordance to divine will for your life, your soul, your spirit's truth, versus sacrificing, making the sacrifice and then crying later and be like, oh, why is this happening to me? Well, hey, I hope this really activates somebody's healing. That's the whole thing. Like, it activates healing. It brings revelation to things. It sheds light on things that just don't, they got to go now. And I do believe that this, like, time that we're in, why people are coming into certain awarenesses and enlightenments is because time is ticking in a certain degree to get in alignment with where you're supposed to be in your life, the things that are meant for you. And it's like, this journey, I feel like, is so many different levels and so many aspects of it. So when I speak these things, I'm coming from a place of love. I don't want anybody to take this as like I'm coming down on anybody or being judgmental. My delivery is a little bit straightforward. Like, it is what it is. But it comes from a place of love, and also a passion for, like I said, women and young women alike not to repeat certain cycles again. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, like, not to repeat it. And after all, like, I'll say this, like, when I said to spirit, like, I let this go, like, I didn't feel that anxiousness to wonder, oh, is this my husband? Oh, is this person? Is this my person? Is this? I when I said spirit, I let anybody in my heart go. Like, anyone that's in my heart, I give them to you. Because I can't do this no more. I can't. When I leave this state, when I leave California, I don't want this on me anymore. I can't carry it anymore. I don't want this right. I don't want that. I'm going to let you handle it. I want to just be completely free and just make it completely about me and my wellness and my happiness right now. And I surrender the fact of it has to be a specific person. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. And when I tell you, that just made me feel a lot lighter. It made me feel a lot lighter. Because it's going to be taken care of. You know what I mean? It's going to be taken care of. And another thing, too, is like, after I did that, I came across this information and it just gave me more revelation. Like, okay, yeah, I really needed to let go of some people. For sure, let them go. And it even revealed to me if I was confused whether a person was for me, oh, hell no. I know now that they're not. Because the person that's for me would never do these things. And same for you. Like, the person that's for you is not going to operate in those energies that I was just describing. They're not. Spirit's not going to allow you to go through that. That's not God's best for you. And we're not entitled to anything, but you got to know that you're loved enough that you're not, you don't deserve going through those types of things. And then once you get that, it's just a practical, simple truth. Like, I don't deserve it. I don't. So why am I dealing with it? I don't have to. I'm not held to the situation. I'm not held to the titles or labels of anybody that I have not legally said I do to. I'm not held to some hypothetical concept of twin flames. I'm not held to none of that. None of that is real to me anymore. It was real because it was an experience and it was playing off of my traumas and my wounds and a lot of people's traumas and wounds. But that's not truth. I'm not subject to, and when you verbally agree to something, you make it a legality in your life. Therefore, it's going to keep playing out time and time again until you null and void that thing and be like, okay, I gave governance and dominion, this concept of twin flames, or this concept that this got to be my person. I've made that some type of legal contract over my life, that so much so it's become a part of my reality. But I'm miserable. God never said that was that. I'm gonna be honest with you. That twin flame topic stuff, that is not divine. I'm telling you, that never came from God. That's man-made stuff, and you gotta be careful with that. Like, one person's experience, you can marry somebody else's experience and make it your own. That's collective trauma bonding. You can collectively trauma bond with people, whether you know them physically or not. But if you guys are all in agreement with this one thing, you're trauma bonding in a sense, because that it's not getting you anywhere. It's not. You're not subject to be held to that anymore. Let that go. Break every yoke with the twin flame labels and titles and all of that, and soul ties or connections to any man or woman that's not for you. Even if this person may be a good person, they may just not be your person. They don't always gotta be a demon and they don't always gotta be some asshole. They could just simply just not be your person, and that's okay. You don't gotta demonize or villainize the experience of the person. Just say, okay, it's not for me. You're not held to that anymore. You're free from that. As long as you believe that you're stuck in that, or you're going to keep getting caught in that visual, that cycle. Let it go. You're free. Set your heart and your mind and your spirit free from anything that is not for you. Anything that's heavy on you, even if it be that it is your person at the end of the day, what is guaranteed is that if it is in fact your person, God is going to bring it together. It's going to come together because it's already done. But if it be that you surrender something that's not for you, good. You're at least you're making space for what is. Simple as that. Very practical. It ain't no foo-foo spiritual woo-woo. It just is what it is. Practical. Yeah, I'm about to cry. Somebody is like, somebody's getting free. Somebody's getting free. You're not held to it anymore. You're not. You're not held. It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to surrender. It's okay to let go. Because as long as it's sitting on you heavily like that, that's not healthy. And sometimes you do got to surrender and give up what you love for spirit to hold it for you. You know what I mean? Got to let it go. If it's heavy. And it's a lie to say you got to hold on so tightly to what you love. No, what you're doing is you're squeezing the life out of it. The more you try to hold on to something or somebody, that's a lie. That's the enemy trying to keep you stuck. It's a lie. Release it. Surrender. You never want to hold on to something or someone so tightly that is no room to breathe, no room to grow. You wouldn't want anybody doing that to you. Love someone or something so much that you'll allow it to, or just, allow it to just be free. And give them the grace to just live their life. And if it be, like I said, that it's meant to be, it is inevitable that it will come back. But the beautiful thing is this as well, is if it's not them, the person that's for you will be there, and you'll know because you'll understand why it could not work out with the other person or why it didn't work out with other people. You had to grow through that. So when the real deal comes, you'll be so blessed and so content and at peace within yourself, because you'll know when this is the thing with spirit, in my experience, when anything that is from God and it is a yes from God, it always comes with peace. Even if it's it's some difficult information that might have been received, it always comes with understanding and peace. It comes with wisdom. Like, there's no mistaking. It's a knowing inside the spirit. There's nothing that contradicts it. You're not going back and forth. Oh, maybe. Sometimes, yeah, you might. Because if you deal with unbelief, or you deal with lack of faith, or you don't trust yourself, sometimes, yeah, you might have that moment of wavering. But when it's not from spirit, it contradicts itself. It confuses you. It brings a lack of peace inside of you most of the time. So when it's the right thing, you'll know. Your spirit's going to know. Like, this is my person. Because it's different from all of the other ones. It's something about the movement of it. It's something about the way that it came together. It's something about the way it just clicks. It just goes. It's not going to be all this. It's not that. Trust me. It's not that difficult. And sometimes we might make the process difficult because we won't let go. We won't let go. We won't surrender. We won't untighten our fists. We won't untighten our heart. We won't, undig our heels out of the ground, because, ooh, child, pride and stubbornness could have been my middle name if it wanted to. But I'm not going to claim that. But, yeah, like, you got to really want to be set free from, and that's where I feel like you can breathe and you can start living. Because you're not held to anything. And marriage is not a death sentence either. Some people might think that it means, oh, now no, it's a beautiful union. It's a beautiful divine manifestation of God's love for us, and communion and connectivity. And it can prune you, it can encourage you and others, it can bless others. It's so many beautiful things that can come out of marriage. But because of, the last centuries or so, marriage is just not what it's supposed to be. Like, because it became an idol. It became a badge of honor, and it became a desperation to just say you got somebody, or to validate your worth by saying you're a married woman, or, you know, or I gotta do the right thing. Let me marry her. I gotta, you know what I mean? No, that's not how it's supposed to be. So when real true love comes, you'll see it and you'll feel it and you'll sense it. I came across a video last night too, and it was a thumbnail, and it made me cry. It was so beautiful. It was an older couple that was getting married. I don't know if they got remarried or this is their first marriage. I don't know. I didn't click on it. But in the thumbnail was a picture of them outside, like outdoors, and they were like, you know, hugging from the front, and it was this big rainbow aura around them. Like, it was so beautiful. I had to find it, but it was like this big rainbow, like almost like a ring of rainbow light around. It was so beautiful, and it made me cry. So when you see it, you can sense it. It's not all about the reception and the dress and how big the ring is and stunting on your haters, or, you know, I'm obligated to marry this person because we got kids, or because it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, when you see true divine union, it's not about those external things. It's the energy. And I bet you if you sit in a wedding like that, it's going to do something to your spirit. It's going to activate something in you, in your heart space. Most definitely. And it may not be like a traditional walk down the aisle marriage. It could be whatever you guys, you know, whatever you're led to do, as long as it's a covenant under God where two or more gathered in my name, there I am in the midst, as the Bible says. And I love that scripture. What God brings together, let no man separate. Literally, like, it can't be separated because it's already stamped and approved. So like I said earlier, like, when it comes with desires of your heart, don't be shamed for the desires in your heart, because if it's truly a desire from source God, God wants to see it for you too, because it was planted in your heart by God. So it's going to come to pass, because it's a prophecy in your heart that you're carrying, that you're walking with. But okay, I'm not going to talk y'all ears off no more. I'm done. That was a lot. Shout out to Amber and Nina on the chat, and anyone else that, you know, interacted. Marley girl, K-Love, Gabby. Hopefully I wasn't too harsh on y'all. Alright. I look a mess right now, y'all. I really do. I look a mess. But I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. I don't know if I'm going to do a reading tonight, because I got this really nice deck that I'm going to get into soon. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, much love. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Be safe. Peace.